Okay, now I'm into 57 minutes into the Joe Rogan video on Kanye West, and they're talking about his mental health. So I'm gonna play a clip from that, and then I'm gonna talk about it because I find mental health issues very interesting. I battled attention deficit disorder for 40 years. Didn't even know I had it until about 2008, and you can control it if you can figure out how your mind works. And really, all minds are pretty much the same. Um, at least that's my opinion. But I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to play a little bit of this. But this is very interesting. This is probably one of the most interesting Joe Rogan interviews I think I've seen yet. And I haven't watched them all, but this one's very interesting to me. Because I understand Kanye West. He's basically a heart thinker. And the heart, what Kanye West doesn't understand is the heart is the most powerful thing about a human. For example, a heart is what caused Einstein to be able to crack relativity before anyone even knew what relativity was or anything of that nature. That's the power of the heart. And most people don't even know what the heart is. Even Christianity, which Jesus talks about the heart all the time, and I got some books I'm going to write about the heart, since I think I know more than anyone in the world. Maybe even more than psychiatrists, but maybe I'm delusional because I've never read any. I don't read anything about psychology, so I have no clue what they know versus what I know. I mean, I have zero clue. I've had ADD. My life has been just in a survival mode since 2008 because I finally started having health problems. What happens with people that struggle on a mental realm is that you stress all the time, and eventually that stress starts kicking off autoimmune disorders and different things. So I started to get chronic fatigue, but then I had to get control of my mind. So once I figured out how to control the mind, and I haven't mastered it yet. I haven't begun to master it, but at least I got control that I can function more like a normal person. Because ADD is very powerful. And but what people don't understand is all mental health is a heart problem. I mean, any mental health issue. For example, someone like let's just use Ashley Judd. Well, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. But anybody that has any problem that what someone would call is triggered, and I know nothing about mental health. I've never studied it or read anything about it. The only thing I've done is just study my own mind as a foundational way to understand the mind. I was even going to write a book called an owner's manual for owning a brain. That's one of the books I'm thinking about writing. But if you don't understand your heart, see, your heart is your driving force. For example, let me just give you an example. Well, maybe I shouldn't give too many secrets away about it. If someone's liable to steal and write my book. Yeah, maybe I better not give out too many secrets. I can give away a few secrets. But the heart is the most interesting thing that there is. You can understand anything. You can understand all of Christianity. You can understand how evil even began in the beginning with Satan, how he created the first lie. You can understand anything if you understand the heart. And I'm not going to give away all the secrets and mysteries of all of that. Because once you go through this, it's like going through a universal parallel hole. Once you go through that and you get out on the other side and you start understanding the heart, it opens up everything. It's like cracking understanding the heart is like cracking, like right now they built a thing called the Hadron Collider, and they're trying to understand, um, what the smallest particles are. And really, even time itself is a particle, right? It's what makes up space-time, right? So, I mean, it's pretty obvious to me. Like when you see an electron that can be a wave or a particle, that you're kind of dealing with time itself. When you look at things even on that level, but as you get in smaller and smaller, you're gonna actually figure out what time itself is, which creates this dimension that we live in, which is bizarre. So, what's interesting about the heart is that once you have understanding of it, you understand everything. And I don't claim to have cracked it all yet, but I know a lot about it. And so what I see when I look at someone, since I'm the number one, I think, in the world, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm delusional, but I think I know a lot. I think I know. I never hear anybody talking about it, so if I don't hear people talking about it, then who knows what I know? And I've recorded 10,000 hours of information about the mind and the heart. 10,000, probably 10,000 hours, and I can't even remember all the insights and things in which I put down, because I'm a heart thinker, not a frontal lobe thinker, So I recorded all this stuff, and to be honest, I don't remember half of what. Not even probably. I probably remember 20% of what I recorded by using my heart, my understanding, like an Einstein type thinking. So I probably only remember 20% of that, if that, and then as far as what I actually use, probably 1% of what I know. But I have to develop all of that, and I can even expand on some of the core things I put down. I can take that 10,000 hours and make 100,000 hours out of it as I expand it. It's just like the universe that expands. You understand? Now, I know most people don't understand this kind of stuff, but the way truth works, just like in science, you find something that's true, right? And then you discover that. Once you discover one truth, then you find out that there's a door from that truth that goes to another truth. And then once you open that door, once you go that, it's like taking steps, right? You take a step here, then all of a sudden, it's like being in the dark and taking steps, right? You take a step, and you shine a light. Let's say you're shining a light at the ground, and you take a step. As you step, and you're shining the light at the ground, you can see the ground as you go, right? That's how truth works. As you move forward, you have more understanding of where you're going and what the reality is, what you're seeing. It's like going into a room, and then once you get in that room, you got to find a doorway, and then you go through that door. It's like looking into mirrors. You ever shown a mirror within a mirror, and you see that it just keeps going into infinity? Well, that's the way truth works. And most people that know anything about cracking truths knows it works that way. So as soon as you discover one truth, you understand what I'm saying. Then you have the door to the next one, and the next, and the next, and the next, and it goes on into infinity. And that's the way science works. That's the way all truth works, and that's how understanding increases as you go through these doors of truth. So it's very easy to be a heart thinker to understand the concepts and the way that Kanye West is talking about things. He's seeing all these perspective and doors and rooms at once that he's trying to describe, but he's not really in clarity. He sees it in his head, but what he doesn't understand is that it makes sense to him as he talks about these rooms and all these different doorways, and it's things that he knows are true, but he's not verbalizing it into where other people can understand. And sometimes you have to slow your mind down. See, his problem is his mind thinks too fast. See, people that have been abused think in this manner. because it's a trust issue. So it's just like a little animal that's out in the wild. It's always looking around. It wants to see 360 degrees around itself, right? Because otherwise it's going to get killed, right? So the way he thinks is he sees all perspectives at once. He's looking at 360-degree angles at everything because that's an abuse type way of thinking, right? I don't know how he got abused. I don't know what the deal is, but that's how his thoughts are formulated, because he's trying to see everywhere at once to be protected, and that's a way of thinking. That's all that is. It's a way of thinking. It's a powerful way of thinking because you can see 360 degrees around you and see all the options and then explore all those different thoughts and avenues. It's kind of like a Bill Gates type thinking, where Bill Gates had all these people and then they throw all these ideas at once in a 360 degree panoramic view, and then they can create based on seeing all this stuff at once and bringing all the information and then forming something out of that information, right? And not too many people think like that. I think like that, and it's very unhealthy. It can stress you out because you don't relax, you don't feel safe, you're always questioning everything. So you see him deconstructing everything, and that's a lack of trust. You see that? You ever seen this song written by I mean, you see this in all music, in all of thinking. What was the music song? It was called oh oh what's the name of that group? I'm not very good. Nothing. Oh, it's called Nothing Else Matters. See, this is another way of thinking. Nothing else matters. This is the opposite of Kanye West type thinking. The song was written by Metallica. Nothing else matters. So this type of thinking, it talks about the word trust in this song. And then, as far as nothing else matters, what it does is, you got to understand that anything that reaches you comes by a thought, by a word. Like the Bible says, faith comes by hearing, but so does everything else. Everything enters into your mind eye, which creates a moment. Whatever you're thinking about is your moment, is your matrix of what you live in, right? Because that's the reality, the matrix. And everybody can live in a different matrix and be on the earth, but they're all in a different matrix based on what they think. Like a black man, for example, I work in an authoritative type job, and I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but if a black man sees me in an authoritative type position and me being white, all of a sudden his matrix sees me in an authoritative type position, and right away he'll cop an attitude. Some of them. It's just a matrix of way people see things. And me, I don't even see myself in that authoritative type position. I'm just doing a job. I'm not. Some people get into authoritative type jobs. Like let's use this for an example. Let's say somebody's a police officer. There's some people that are attracted to that type of job because they like power. It's just like this. It's the same reason like some people like to drive Harleys. They're attracted to the police officer or driving a Harley or a Harley motorcycle because it gives them an image of power that they want people to see them in. Now me, I don't give a damn about that kind of stuff. But with my job that I do need power. I can't do it without power. And I get pissed if people don't allow me to have authority because I can't do the job without authority. I have no control. So that's just the way it is. But like in the song Nothing Else Matters, these people have been able to filter out everything else, and it has no power. It's just like a sperm, for example. A sperm, there's millions of sperm that are produced, right? But only once one penetrates the eggs, the rest of that crap is walled off. The rest of the sperm can't penetrate. Now, if it did, you could never create anything, right? So there has to be a wall so that you can create an entity, otherwise it wouldn't work. So when the same thing comes to thinking, you have to have, like he was talking about his ego, you have to have an ego where you block out all of the other thoughts and opinions and naysayers and all this stuff, because it'll destroy what you're trying to create, right? I don't want to get too deep into all this stuff. I'm probably saying too much as it is, but let's play a little bit of this it's very interesting video to me. Let's play a little bit of this. Just a clip.
And it was taken in the least charitable way, and they decided to try to say, look at crazy Kanye, look at this shit he's saying. Yeah. And then
dollars a day. What music industry has people going to the exact you know, I can research. It's like, are you serving man? Are you serving dollars a day? What music industry has people going to the exact debt of the house that they think it's a treacherous place. So
filled with money. As soon as things are filled with money, they're filled with people that are trying to take advantage of other people.
It's filled with money. Bees come to honey.
Exactly. Yeah. So they put you on this shit because you were exhausted. What did they put you on?
You know, I can research. I'm actually forgetting the exact medication that they had.
But what did it do to you?
The main thing that it did is it destroyed my confidence. It made me this shell of who I really am. It like grayed over my eyes. It made me. It made the Mustang not buck anymore.
They sedated you.
Yes.
Yeah, and what was the thought process behind it when you talked to a doctor about this? What did they tell you was wrong with you?
They told me I was bipolar, and I remember going on TMZ and saying, you know, slavery is a choice, and they medicated me for saying that, for having that opinion and saying it out loud. But as I put those contracts up, I'm saying this is a choice. As I, you know,
you didn't mean people being abducted and brought into slavery and put into chains was a choice. What you were talking about is people making decisions that would enslave them financially and enslave their life.
Yeah.
But it was taken out of context, and it was taken in the least charitable way, and they decided to try to say, look at crazy Kanye, look at this shit he's saying. Yeah. And then they medicate you.
Yes. And the media is always taking anything out of context that isn't a part of the overall narrative.
Yeah.
That, because there's, you know, like Hollywood and media has controlled so much of the narrative. And then you had Silicon Valley, and that's.
See, the disadvantage that the media has is that they first of all, the media, the people that are in the media are not psychiatrists. They're not deep thinkers, and they're also not the leaders. But their problem is they think they are the leaders. There's a scripture in the Bible that says Solomon made this statement. He says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And that can be a powerful thing, or it can be a destructive thing. So the media thinks in their heart. I mean, they really believe this, and they don't even know that they believe this, because they're doing something. They're doing a behavior based on how they think in their heart. And they think of themselves as someone that's educated on all the fronts, and then they make a decision and they put their thought out there like they're the leader. So the bottom line with the media is that they want to be the leader. That means they want their sperm, just to put it bluntly, they want their sperm to dominate. So that's why they challenge the president on every little thing. And they're not even in the circle of reality of what it is to be a president and all the things the president knows, right? That means they're on the outside. They're like a little kid in reality, trying to look in the window, and the fact is the window's blackened out. They can't really see hardly anything. When you're inside as the president, you're inside a totally classified, totally placed that the rest of the people they just aren't there. And the media in reality are just little kids on the outside looking in, and they really do not have a clue of what's really going on. Now, I'm not saying these people are dumb. I'm not saying that these people are dumb, but the bottom line is, how can you have an opinion when you don't know? You know, Obama went in there thinking, well, I don't know what Obama thought, to be honest. I think he's realized the reality of once you get inside of that, it's a whole different thing. So, but the bottom line with the media is that they think that they want to be the leader because they think they're the smartest, right? But if they really think that, why don't they run for president? You know, I had to sit there and listen to. I remember one time Peter Jennings made this video about Jesus, and he it's still out there somewhere, but he described Jesus as this absolute loser, where these people followed him, and he said all this stuff, but he had absolutely no real clue. And he's not in the inner circle of actually knowing God. And God doesn't, you don't get in the inner circle of knowing God unless you're one of the 12 disciples. They followed Jesus and they saw the winds and the waves stop. They saw him walk on water. They saw him raise the dead. They saw all this stuff. And that's the way it is with God. You're either in the inner circle or you're not. So, anyway, I don't want to get into all that. But what I'm seeing about Kanye West is he's a heart thinker. He's a very powerful heart thinker. Let me listen to a little bit more. See, he doesn't understand. Maybe he does understand, but the heart is what drives us to produce whatever we produce. And he's driven in a lot of different directions, you know. And sometimes, if your heart leads you, it can lead you into a state of exhaustion, right? But he's still young, you know. Me as a person with ADD, it's also a heart type problem. I think all mental illnesses deal with the heart. Whether it be a OCD, all of that is a heart condition. And I'm not talking about your physical heart. I'm talking about your mind, your heart and your mind. And I'm not going to give the secrets of how all that works, even though I've probably given away too much as it is. But the heart is it can be your best friend or your greatest enemy. And the Bible talks about that. It says, keep your heart with all diligence. And there's a lot more I could talk about it, but I'm not going to. The heart's everything. I really shouldn't even be talking about it like this and telling people, because I want to write a book, and people are smart. You figure this stuff out. But the heart's the most interesting thing that there is. There's nothing more interesting. It's the all of all as far as human understanding. If you understand the heart, you understand everything. There's nothing that you, I don't, that's the way I feel. If you understand the heart, there's nothing you can't figure out. All of mental health revolves around it. You understand the heart, you know how it all works. So the thing is, if you don't understand your own self, and I've heard Kanye West say he does kind of understand himself, which is very interesting, because most people are heart thinkers and never get to that point. He hasn't mastered the heart, otherwise his verbal skills would be, he'd be able to communicate a little bit better. Because Joe Rogan is a person that thinks both ways. He uses the heart in his head, and he's able to verbalize and put in clarity. That's the word, is put in clarity. Heart thinkers think in a certain way, but they understand what they think, and they're visionaries, like he was talking about. He's a visionary, but you have to be able to put it in clarity. That's why he can't settle down. That's why he's manic, has the bipolar manic, because you've got to take all of that imagination and thought that's swirling. You're seeing all this stuff at once because you've been abused, and you have that way of thinking, and all of these thoughts are spinning like a tornado in your brain. That's why Oprah has to meditate and do all these different things. And I'm not saying meditation is bad. You got to stop that from time to time. You got to get in that eye of the hurricane of life, of all the things that are coming at you, especially if you get famous and you create this hurricane by entering into it, and it's a heck of a ride, but what's interesting, like that song I was saying, and I'm a heart talker too, that's why and I'm deliberately not trying to give away too many secrets about how all this works. So I am talking heart language versus too much putting it in understanding. I'm trying to keep it from, I'm not trying to give away too many secrets. But that's why this song, Nothing Else Matters, why it's so powerful, because you remember Jesus spoke and stopped the storm and the wind. Well, that's what's going on inside it. It's an atmosphere. It's a spiritual atmosphere that goes on inside of a person that makes them bipolar. And it's a powerful tornado force that if you can harness it, well, you can ride it. It can be your slave instead of you being its slave. And it can be a powerful engine, because what is a tornado? It's like an engine, right? So that's kind of what I'm seeing when I look at someone like a Kanye West. But what's interesting is people that learn how to stop, like Jesus spoke and stop the winds and the waves, and can just stop it and have control over it. That's what I'm trying to learn how to do on a mental realm. And I'm close. I'm getting very close on the mental realm, to be able to have power over it. It's very interesting stuff, and I'm just barely giving away little secrets here and there. But it's the most interesting thing that there is to have control over that. And what you also have to understand, that people are carrying around these storms inside of them. I call them like spiritual black holes that'll suck even the light out of people. People are carrying this around with them. You get near those atmospheres, and you can get sucked into that and become part of that. I'll just give you an example. The Bible says if you answer a fool, you become like him. Why? Because you enter into their spiritual matrix reality of their black hole. And yes, they do. They are black holes. Black hole is something that just sucks the life out of everything else. Where a star a star radiates and gives forth light and gives all life. People can be like the Bible says, let your light shine. You can be a light or you can be a black hole. And I tell you what, I've been a black hole. I've been a black hole because I was mentally like, you ever seen in a mental, in a not mental, but in a physical boy that's in the bubble that has no immune system, so he has to live in a bubble all his life? Well, that's how I mentally was all my life. And I'm still very weak, but I'm able to get out of the bubble. But I'm still not strong yet. But my goal is to become very strong, totally have total domination. Like you had this one episode in Star Trek where the immune. It was in Star Trek where they created these superior telepathy type individuals where they could communicate by telepathy, and I think they could move things, and their immune system was so strong it would actually go out and destroy viruses before they even got to them. It was on Next Generation, a Star Trek episode, but it's very interesting. But you can become very powerful on a mental realm, because I've tasted a little bit of it, but I still have to learn how to live in it. First of all, you have to be able to be immune to other people, right? You can't, you have to be like in the song where it says nothing else matters. You have to build up an immunity, but you also have to be around these people in the world. And there's so much evil in this world, it's just unreal. Well, I'm running out of time here. But let's listen to a little bit more of this. It's interesting stuff to me.
That's what's so beautiful about one of my heroes, Steve Jobs, because there wouldn't be a Silicon Valley or Silicon Valley.
First of all, I don't know much about Steve Jobs, whatever. I don't know much about him. The only thing I know about him is, I guess he tried a lot of different things and failed, I guess, a lot of different things. But what happened is little I know about him, which is very little. But since I know about how the mind works and how success kind of works, is all those things that he failed at, he got bits of information which as he finally found something, all the failures were the things he needed to create the thing he needed to create. So all those things they thought they tried and failed at were the things that actually led to his success that he was able to bring to the table. So, and he was probably, what I'm thinking, and I know nothing about him, but I'm thinking he was probably a thought processor like Keanu West. You know, where you're very imaginative, and then finally, your imagination finally accumulates in because you're willing to take chances, finally accumulates in success, because imagination is a powerful thing. But of course, you have to bring it together. And it's probably why he's like one of his heroes, because they think probably the same way. But I really don't like thinking the way I think. It's good. But there's one thing he says, I think he's talking about a scripture in one of the portions of what I listened to. He said, there's a scripture that says, trust in the Lord and lean not to your own understanding. See, when you lean to your own understanding, that's why you look at all these different parameters and things all at once, trying to see 360 in every situation. That's why he's deconstructing everything, because he doesn't trust it. And what he doesn't understand, or maybe he does, is that Satan has sown his seed, which is a lie, because Satan created the first lie. And a seed propagates itself into infinity, and it changes just like they're afraid that the virus is going to mutate. The coronavirus will just keep mutating, and it'll be like the flu and be around us forever, right? Which it probably will. Okay. But people will build up immunity against it, and it'll just kind of like, be not that big of a deal. Because we got to take our hits. That's how it works. You got to build up the immunity to it. There ain't no ifs, ands, and buts. If you never get the virus, then you're always going to be susceptible to it. So if you build up antibodies, then you're what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? So the bottom line is we're all going to get it sooner or later. It's only a matter of time. You will get it, I guarantee you, sooner or later, because it's not going to go away. And the sooner you get it, the sooner you're going to build up immunity, and then you can stop being afraid of this stupid little virus, because you have an immune system that is built in to protect you. And yes, some people are going to die. Freedom kills us also. If you don't think, what's actually more powerful, this virus or freedom? Do you realize that people have the freedom and they smoke these things called cigarettes, and 420,000 people die every year? And I was a respiratory therapist for 20 years. If you've ever seen anybody die on a ventilator in a nursing home that smoked all their life, you'd be afraid of that 420,000, which is probably double of what the viruses kills each year. But no, the media doesn't brainwash you or talk to you about that at all. But 420,000 people are dying, and they're not only dying, they're dying a slow death. I've seen people, do you understand that once you can't breathe, they're going to put this thing called a trach in your neck? It's going to be a tube that sticks in your neck, and then you can't talk. And then they're going to hook you to this thing called a ventilator that's going to pump air into your lungs for the rest of your life. And then they're going to have to put a suction tube down your tube, probably 20, 30 times a day as you gag and choke on that tube that's going down in your lungs, to suck out your secretions that normally don't come up your trachea, and then you swallow it, like I'm trying to do right now. What happens is your lungs clean themselves out. Otherwise, your lungs would fill up with dust and you'd die in probably 6 months. But your lungs have mucus, and it's constantly these cilia that beat, and it's constantly cleaning them out. And then you go like that, and that's you clearing that mucus that just came out of your lungs, and you're swallowing it. So you're going to have all that stuff suctioned out as they stick a tube down your hole in your neck, because you can't breathe, because you smoked cigarettes all those years and you got put on a ventilator. And so the last 2 or 3 years of your life, or maybe if you might even live 7 years on a ventilator in a nursing home, in a place where nurses are going to take you, not even respiratory therapists, and nurses are not trained on ventilators. So you're probably going to die in some nursing home, and the government doesn't give a damn, because they don't think that respiratory therapists should be in nursing homes because it costs too much money. So they're going to have a nurse take care of you, and the nurse is not trained on a ventilator. So that's pretty scary. But the news isn't talking about any of that stuff, about the 420,000 people that are going to die, and it does people dying in nursing homes. I've seen people go from a hospital to a nursing home and die in a day from nurses taking care of respiratory patients on ventilators when they have no real training on ventilators. So do you hear the news ever, has the news mentioned that once? No, they haven't. So, anyway, let's listen to a little bit more of Keanu Reeves here. I mean, Keanu West, I'm sorry. I'm kind of like Kanye West. I'm a hard thinker. Like, he couldn't remember what his medication was, because his heart is always swirling, thinking about ideas and creating this and that, and it doesn't slow down. Do you understand? People that think like that do not slow down in their thinking. So he never even took the time to look at his medication and see, memory works by, the way your memory works is you see information And you have to look at it long enough for your brain to make an imprint on that medication. But he's being a hard thinker, just took the medication, and his definition of the medication is, what does it actually do? So a lot of people would say he's dumb because he doesn't know what the medication is he took, right? It appears like he's super stupid because he doesn't even know what medication he's taking. Now, most people who are egotistical were saying, you don't even know what medication you're taking? How stupid are you? But see, he doesn't go by that. He goes by how the medication, when he took it, how it actually made him feel. It doesn't matter what the name of it is. It matters what it does to him. Now, if it would have helped him, yeah, he would have been, yeah, this stuff's great. So that's what's important. So he remembered what was actually important. It's just like people and names of people. Some people remember faces and attitudes of people versus their names and titles. But it depends what information is actually more important, is what you should actually remember. But just to explain his type of mind, since his mind's always swirling because he's thinking about all these things and all these different 360-degree views, and always trying to in that type of thinking, he doesn't slow down long enough. Like, you've seen him slow down for a second as Joe Rogan slowed him down and got him talking about about his mental health. You've seen him just slow down all of a sudden. And you see a totally different person when he slows down. You see like a different person emerge, almost like a little boy child, like. It's almost like he becomes aware for a second. And I don't want to get too many in the secrets on how the mind works. I've already given away too many secrets. But it's very interesting stuff to me. Very interesting. Well, let's listen to a little bit more. Let's not listen to it anymore. That's all I'm going to give away. I gotta leave for work. Bye-bye, people.